Welcome to Pipeline Summit, everybody. Just keep mingling, grab a drink or have a seat, whatever is easiest for you. We've got a great talk this evening. I am really pleased to present a talk with these two individuals that I've known for quite a while. First, I'd like to introduce you to Sara Varni. Sara's the CMO of Attentive. She's also the former CMO of Twilio for 4 years, and she was the SVP of marketing at Salesforce for 11 years. So congratulations on your career. Absolutely incredible. And we have Udi Ledergor, who's 7 years at Gong. He was the number one, very first marketer at Gong, became CMO as the company scaled to hundreds of millions in revenue and is now the chief evangelist. So welcome to the Pipeline Summit. And let's talk about—
Excited to be here.
Let's talk about Pipeline. Okay, before we get into it, we're here at Dreamforce, and some of us have attended Dreamforce for many, many years, and for some of us, it's the very first time at this event. So quick icebreaker. Let me start first with Sara. Is this your first Dreamforce? If not, how many times have you been here, and what's your favorite memory, if you have one?
It's probably my 13th or 14th Dreamforce has got to be. A couple of favorite memories. A fun one was MC Hammer and the dancers that showed up at the keynote once, just kind of randomly, totally kicked the keynote off the right way. But like more seriously, we were launching the Force.com platform. There's a lot of Force.com platform people out there I can see. Props to the Force.com peeps. But we were just really excited about getting the thing off the ground, and we had 3 CIOs on stage, and they were like kind of no-name companies at the time, but we were just like pumped. And they had these people come out of the fog, like they were like literal rock stars. Like you would have thought like Gene Simmons was going to emerge from this like cloud of smoke, but it was these 3 CIOs, and I was like, wow, like we have arrived. So many, many moments and milestones, and now to see where Salesforce is pretty incredible.
It's pretty cool. Udi, how about yourself?
So I need to apologize to Sara, and please don't tell Mark, but I've never been inside Dreamforce.
Oh, no.
Despite this being probably my 10th year being in town for Dreamforce, I have found every way under the sun to guerrilla my way around Dreamforce, hijacking traffic from shared car rides with our branding to renaming Montgomery Station to Gonggomery Station and doing a complete station takeover. I will not pay a dime to sponsor Dreamforce.
Well, there you go. Hey.
Well, my favorite was when, it was sometime in 2007 or 2008, we were sitting in a conference room, and somebody said, I think we should brand Dreamforce like Welcome to the Cloud. And we're like, I don't know, Welcome to the Cloud, is that a little cheesy? But of course, hindsight is 2020. So let's talk about Pipeline. You guys are industry leaders, you're industry pioneers, you're senior marketing executives. I've been talking to you both over the course of the past year at Pipeline Summit, and it has been a hell of a year. I think we all know that. One of the hardest selling environments we've had in the last 13 years. So give it to us straight from from where you sit, who you talk to at your company. How important is Pipeline right now in your go-to-market? Where does it rank?
Yeah, I mean, Pipeline is absolutely the name of the game. I think this year we've absolutely had to move from the nice-to-have activities to the need-to-have. And so, that means paring back on things like awareness, paring back on things that you can't see hardcore return or know the exact pipe to spend you're going to get for that program. And we've really shifted towards things where we can be much more targeted, or we can convert people that we know are hand raisers already, and that's why we partner with people like Qualified to pull them through.
Yeah, Udi, how important is pipeline generation at Gong right now?
So I will continue where Sara stopped to not repeat, because I agree with everything she said. I think not only has marketing moved from the nice-to-have to the must-have, but everything marketing is doing is aimed at proving that our product is a must-have and not a nice-to-have. So messaging is tightening up, sales enablement is tightening up, customer success showing ROI is tightening up. Everything is done to make sure that we end up in the must-have bucket, because we all know the what was it called, the death of SaaS this year, or the big massacre of people just cutting so many products that were nice to have. So to continue going strong, like many of us are fortunate to be, we have to show that everything we do is providing so much value that it is unquestionably a must-have.
Right, so the great tech recession has been upon us for the last year. We're all striving to make sure that our products are above the line, right? You can generate pipeline when your product is above the line. The question is, where is that line? Sara, you said at Pipeline Summit 1 year ago, I wrote this down, with pipe gen, it's both a short game and a long game. Maybe you can explain that. But no matter what your strategy, you have to have solid and provable metrics when budgets get cut. Okay, now obviously over the last year, a lot of budgets have gotten cut, but maybe you guys could get a little bit specific for us and talk to us about a strategy that you've leaned into specifically that's been working in this environment, or something that you've just backed away from.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about year over year for Attentive, I mean, we're a fast-growing brand. We're a startup in the SMS marketing space, which is a very competitive space. Last year, we were all about brand awareness. We had billboards in Times Square. We had, we spent a lot of money on video and explainers content and things that were very top of funnel. And this year, we really had to rethink how we were going to spend our dollars, how we could make our dollars go further. And so that meant pulling back and going towards things that we knew had a proven ROI. That's the short game. Like, you can go to your sales leader and say, hey, maybe we should pull back on SDRs, sorry for any SDRs in the house, and take those dollars and put it towards Google or places where we know we can get a 5-to-1 pipe to spend and greater, whatever the benchmark you're trying to hit. But we have to also balance that with the long game. And I think what's tough in this environment is you can't go and do some of those broad-based paid media tactics. And so you have to be really smart about content. Even though we've pulled back on some of our splashy video, we definitely have thought about short content, short video programming that we know can kind of bring in influencers from our community, really, again, talk to performance of our products and show, hey, this is really a painkiller, not a vitamin. Thinking about ways that we can still get awareness so that we're not going to go through all the hand raisers and not have anyone else left to market to, but do it in a way that's much more cost effective.
I think one of the things that surprised me about my conversations with Udi over the course of the years have been, Gong has always thought content first. And one of the things, the very first time that I came in contact with the Gong brand, it was a PDF basically saying, if your sales reps say these words, you will win. If your sales reps spend this amount of time talking on the sales call, you will lose. And
so are they all swearing now on their sales calls? Is that what we found?
Yeah,
really
that
worked?
was one of the tactics. But it was like, whether it's content marketing or product launches, which is a big thing that you've done this year, give us some perspective on what is working right now for your company.
So again, to not repeat anything that Sara says, which all makes sense, we found that this year it was about going back to basics. And since, as you said, I was the first marketer at Gong 7 years ago, I didn't always have the multi-million-dollar budgets or a 60-person team. I was a machine of one for a very long time on a very shoestring budget. And I figured that my only way to hack the system is to create really, really good organic content, because if you do that, you're going to get free followers, you're going to get free email subscribers, you're going to get free content downloads, and then all these people want to talk to you. Big idea, right? And so we cracked that way back when, and now we've gone back to that. So the Gong Lab series is still going strong, creating thousands of new social media followers and email subscribers every week. And we earn the right to talk to those people about what we do. And so going back to basics and having more people like myself in my new role share content leadership, get on stages like this, thank you again for the opportunity to be here, and sharing our thought leadership is just bringing a ton of organic content, which the CFO loves because it doesn't cost him anything.
Exactly.
I mean, you paid for the drinks. He didn't even have to pay for that. And beyond that, it's again back to messaging that shows why this is a must-have, and really listening and being in tune with what customers are looking for this year. I was sharing with you earlier over the drinks that there's a product that we actually have ready and we haven't launched this year yet because we don't think it's the right message that the market needs to hear this year, so we're going to launch that next year. But we did hear the market talking about consolidating their tech stack this year. And so what did we do? In the last year, we came up with 2 new products, Gong Forecast and Gong Engage, to help customers go from 3, 4 vendors to 1 and do what they actually want, use fewer products, make the CFO and RevOps happy because they don't have to integrate all that stuff, make the sellers happy because they don't have 5 different systems to switch between, and make the buyers happy because they're getting a much better buying experience. So as long as you're listening to your customers and obsessing over them, you're probably going to be fine.
Well, vendor consolidation has 100% been the name of the game this year. I think as marketers, we probably all know that, but maybe you're wondering, well, how do I position my products? How do I expand my portfolio? How do I puff up in this environment? And then, of course, we've all got this AI thing, and it's everything AI and Gong AI and Qualified AI and Attentive AI, and now we're separating ourselves from the noise. But it comes back to so much of, Udi, what you guys did so successfully, which is education. The basics of using content marketing for education, I think, play well in this world. Let's pivot a little bit over to pipeline coverage. So one of the things that I said earlier this year, in fact, I've kind of been saying it in my own company this year, 5X is the new 3X. Like we always used to say, if you have 3X pipeline coverage for your sales team, like you're good to go, right? So that's kind of the job of marketing. And so earlier this year, I was saying like 5X is the new 3X, 5X is the new 3X. And then I said that to you, Udi, like earlier this summer, and you're like, well, yeah, but maybe not if your pipe quality is higher and progresses at better rates. And so when you said that, I like jotted that note down. So look, we're all struggling with trying to figure out quantity and quality. How have you guys changed? I think like if you could give some wisdom to all of us out here who like, we're all revenue leaders, right? We're either CMOs or CROs or we're revenue leaders. If you could give a piece of wisdom to, what's your perspective on pipeline coverage? Has your process changed? Has your acceptance criteria changed? What has changed this year? Sarah, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, I think going back to what you were saying earlier about having to like ruthlessly prioritize in terms of the products you were going to cover, we've had to ruthlessly prioritize who we're going to go after and target. And you know, we do some of that on our own in terms of like thinking about, we largely cater to mid-market plus with Attentive, and so we do that in the types of content we produce and making sure that it would resonate with an enterprise buyer. But we also really partner really closely with our media vendors, and there's a lot of great products. I think this is where AI is definitely helping marketers move faster to go after that higher propensity to buy, higher quality leads, and to really make your dollars go further. And we partner with Google, we partner with LinkedIn really closely to make sure that we're staying within a certain realm of what we want to hit from an efficiency standpoint. So.
Well, we're all struggling there, right? It's like it's quantity and quality, and you want to balance the two. Udi, how do you guys think about it at Gong, or with what you're doing right now? If you were the original one that pushed back on me and said, no, like we got to be thinking about quality.
Yeah.
And actually that changed. I mentioned that to our leadership team, and in our pipeline council, we started changing like almost immediately what we were measuring. And not only the acceptance rate and what we call stage 2, but then the progression from stage 2 to stage 3, and then carving that up in different ways and saying, well, if this is the source or this is like the hook that brought somebody in the door, it actually converts in different ways. We have to look at it in all those ways. You kind of shine that light on pipeline quality and progression for me at our company, but do you have like other words of wisdom that you can give to all of us on like how should we be thinking about this?
And I love hearing that, Kraig. Thanks for sharing. So a couple of things. First, before I dive into the go-to-market and specifically marketing aspects, it's important to recognize that pipeline is not just a go-to-market problem. It is a product problem. And product is an equal partner in creating pipeline. And what I mean by that is if product is still working on the product plan from 12 months ago and hasn't done a reality check, at least on a quarterly basis, is what we're delivering now resonating with the market? Is this what they truly need more than ever? Not because someone 12 months ago brought it to the top of our product board, but because now they're asking for it. If they're not doing that, then they're making it a go-to-market problem when it might be a product problem. So I suggest all of the go-to-market leaders here to go talk with your product leaders and check when was the last time that they looked at the product roadmap and validated it against what the market really wants. I can tell you we did that at Gong. We do it now like on a very regular basis. We have a couple of moments late last year when I remember a pretty contentious meeting where product was showing what they're going to develop in the next 6 to 9 months, and go-to-market leaders were just shaking their head like, oh my God, no, that was last year's plan. Aren't you listening to what's happening in the market? So that's number one. Number two, going back into go-to-market. So I talked about quality versus quantity, and there's so many dimensions to that. So one of them you talked about is channels. And we found, and I'm sure many other market leaders here have found, that the importance of, say, Google and other search engines in organic search is much higher now than we looked at it maybe a year and a half ago, because these are people still in the zone right now. Like, you don't have to go look under every rock. They're telling you, they're raising their hands, they want to buy from you. So make sure that you get back to those leads in 5 minutes, not 5 days.
100%.
I can't tell you how many calls I've been on where the guy said, you know, I'm buying from you because the other guy hasn't even gotten back to me. And I asked for demos for 3 vendors on the same day. You're the first one who got back to me. Sometimes all you need to do is show up. So if the organic demand is coming in, they want to talk to you, talk to them. And then one more dimension, and then I'll shut up, is look at the ICP. because we've seen certain segments improve their conversion rate because they need us now more than ever, and we've seen other segments reduce their conversion rates because they see us as a nice to have right now. So we do a reshuffle of the books every quarter. We don't just do it for the year and say we're done. We look every quarter, are there certain segments that are not performing as we had planned? Let's set them aside, deprioritize them, and bring more of the good stuff that we see in the last quarter, not a year ago, but in the last quarter, they're actually converting better.
One of the things that I hear you saying, Udi, is that you seek alignment across your go-to-market team with your product team on a regular basis, not at the beginning of the year, but every quarter. And one of the things that I want to bridge to next is sales and marketing alignment. And of course, as CMOs, we are constantly seeking alignment with our revenue leaders. And in fact, if you have an account-based approach to your go-to-market, it is more important than ever. And somebody forwarded me this week, Udi, and I watched you on a LinkedIn video podcast, and you said...
You're my new favorite stalker, by the way.
You said...
He's really good at playing piano, too.
It's easy. You said if you're a CMO and you don't know how your CRO takes their coffee, you're doing something wrong. What is the best... Sarah, let me start with you. What is the
Put
best...
it on the spot. How does a CRO take their coffee?
Yeah.
What is the...
I don't think mine drinks coffee, actually.
Mine doesn't either. He drinks tea. It was a trick question.
What's the best advice you have for other marketing leaders out there about how to achieve the sales and marketing alignment nirvana? What is working for you in your company?
Well, I mean, I just want to add on to one thing that Udi said. I think like that last mile conversion is super critical right now. I think in 2020, 2021, when the phone was just ringing off the hook, it was a totally different market. We got comfortable, and we didn't have to really fine-tune things between, let's say, your SDR team and your marketing team. And so we are, I talk to my head of SDR probably like every, I'd say 3 hours. Like we're always constantly in contact. I can tell exactly when we're a smaller team, but I can tell if someone is on vacation. I can tell, if something is funky in, one of our channels. Like we are constantly in lockstep. And I think also for us, we think about pipeline as a team sport. Like if marketing's hitting their pipeline number, but sales is not, that is not time for a victory lap. I try to make sure that everyone really sees their part in all the different...
Do you guys separate it now that you brought it up? Do you separate, like you have a marketing number and you have a sales number, and what kind of dynamic does that cause in your organization?
We do have we have a marketing number, a sales number, a partner number, pretty similar to what we did we had a similar setup at Salesforce. And we always are trying to make sure that marketing's hitting a certain percentage of overall pipeline. I keep a close eye on that, and I always want it to be improving. And then we also are, like I said, no victory lap until we're agreeing across all these different channels. And we really try to celebrate those wins jointly, so everyone feels like we're in the boat together. It's not like us versus them. And keeping that feedback loop going is super critical to making sure that you're going to continue to get better and better in things. And events is another thing. Making sure, all right, are we going to the right events? Are we saying the right reps? Are they motivated to talk to these people? Or are they just going to care if their account's there? We've been like hyper focused on making sure that, again, if you're going to target certain accounts, that you're getting the right people in the room and that you have the highest chance of producing opportunities from that.
How do you produce that bond between yourself and your revenue leadership? Not even just your CMO, but the VPs of sales. Do you meet with them weekly? Like, what is that kind of cadence for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we meet. We have a pipeline call every other week. We go by territory, and it's not just when myself and the CRO on the call. It's not just sales having to answer the question. If there's a patch that's down, marketing absolutely has to have input too into that. And I think just having that accountability in all these different fronts really drives that alignment. Sales knows that we're like really keeping them in mind. We're not just doing things because we think it's a cool event or we think it's like something fun to do. We're really thinking about how we can help them hit their goals. And I think that builds trust between the two teams. And then they want to help us out on the other side and advocate that, when budget season comes around, which is right around the corner for, I'm sure, many people in the audience, they're at the table pounding their fists as hard as we are to make sure that, marketing's well-funded and producing for them.
Udi, do you have, as you break down your pipeline target at the company level, do you break it down into like sales and partners and BDRs and marketing and some other thing?
Yeah, we have 4, which I think are the classic. Sarah talked about 3. So there's partners, SDR, marketing, and AE self-sourcing. Those are the classic 4. And partners is a little more complex. Some of it is overlay. Some
Partners
of it
is always
source.
hard.
We haven't found the magic number to how to measure that perfectly yet. But I want to tag on something Sarah said about events and going to events. So here's what we did. Last year, we did a roadshow that we did this year based on what we found last year. I think we hit 7 cities. Now, events are notoriously difficult to measure because people talk about the experience. Yeah, everyone had a good time. We had a great conversation, and that's usually the last you hear of it. So we dug a lot deeper, and then we came back to sales and finance and said, here's what we did. We looked at all the open opportunities on Q2, when we did our roadshow. We looked at opportunities that had a representative at one of the 7 events that we did, and the control group was all the open opportunities that did not have a representative at our 7 events. Here's what we found. We found many things. The top 2 in my eye are this. 1, the win rate for those who showed up at the event was 96% higher.
Yep.
That's almost double compared to the control group of open opportunities in all territories, all sizes, all industries that we could not get to an event. That was number 1. Number 2, the average deal size of those who attended the event was over 100% higher. It was like 104% higher. So again, double the average opportunity size. Now, you show that to finance, they go, yeah, please do more of those. You come with that to sales, they don't only say, yes, let's do more of those, but now they're screaming at their salespeople, you need to get all your prospects to these events because we're creating such a unique experience there and so-called brainwashing them with all the customer success stories and all the partnerships and all the product demos that they see there that they just run out of there and they want to sign a big deal. So that's another way that we create that alignment with sales and marketing by proving that what we're doing is working and then using that to get them to help us help them in return.
Yeah, I love that. And it's not just pipeline influence and some like
no,
BS
this is real stuff.
model, like,
this is real stuff.
And it's easy to show and you get them to buy in. Is the number 1 thing. And also the power of event marketing. And here we are at Dreamforce. So let me bring it on home for this panel. I want to talk about AI. It is clearly the entire conference at Dreamforce has been all about AI. This has been the year of AI. The AI revolution is here. What a year. What a year for our industry. We're going to look back on this in the same way that we looked back on the iPhone launch. I just watched Steve Jobs' launch of the iPhone
Never gets old.
Yesterday, so I could kind of relive what that moment was like and the internet and cloud computing. And here we are, and it's the AI revolution. And for so many of us as sales and marketing professionals, it's new. The technology is new. We haven't heard these words before. We're trying to figure out what to do. And then as marketers, we're trying to figure out, what do I say to the world? And then as sales professionals, we're like, what is this terminology? And I have to sound the right way. And and everyone is like a little bit deer in the headlights. But you two have been on this journey for a long time. And just like Salesforce and so many other companies. So Gong AI, I went on your website. Gong AI has been analyzing more than 1 billion sales calls and 10 billion sales emails for like 5+ years, right?
Right.
Attentive AI is trained on 40 billion SMS and email sends. So you guys have had products in market for a long time. This stuff is not new to you. Couple questions on this front. Number 1, what are you seeing now as go-to-market leaders? How are you bringing your organization to market? All of a sudden, this tsunami, this frenzy has been whipped up. Now we're all in the middle of it. And every single person out there in the audience and who's like listening to this recording is like, what should I be doing right now? Should I just go with the flow? How do I differentiate? What do I say? So Sarah, let me start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it differs depending on what type of product you're selling. And in our world, a lot of our buyers treat SMS marketing like they would treat Google as an ad channel. It's really a performance channel for them. And so in a lot of ways, leading with performance and showing how the AI can increase performance is one of the best ways you can build trust with our core audience. I was just with a customer last week, a really well-known footwear brand. A lot of you probably have a pair of them in your closet. And just using our copy assistant, which generates new messages based on what we know from our 40 billion SMS exchanges, we're able to serve up likely higher performing SMS version of their copy. They've been able to 4x their performance. So incredible results. And if you're a performance marketer, you're like, great, I'm in. But I think on the brand side, there's hesitation. All right, does that mean I don't have a job? Does that, or is it going to sound in our brand voice? And I think you have to be very careful to show that there's going to be some control mechanisms in place so that your brand team can have their brand voice and guidelines kind of baked into your learning model. They can also have a preview of, okay, hey, here's a set of messages that would go to this particular segment. Everything look okay? All right, now let's send it to a bigger batch of people. So I think it's, for my market in particular, it's showing that performance, showing like, hey, why wouldn't you want to have a 4x better return on what you're doing? And then also building in that trust that, hey, look, you're still in full control. You can still make it sound like your brand voice. And you also have the ability to kind of do a spot check before it's going to really go out to a broader audience.
Do you find that your marketing team even knows how to market these capabilities and features, or is everybody going through this massive education?
I think that it was interesting this last week. It's very fresh in my mind right now because we sat with these customers and we're showing them a lot of our roadmap. And I think at first it feels like everyone's kind of, putting AI on every product name that they have. And so that it just becomes noisy. And I think what you really have to do is go to the examples quickly and show, no, it's real. Like this is a text message before Attentive AI and this is a text message after. And this is the performance between the two. And that's a very eye-opening, like, aha moment that, oh, this is a real product. This is not just them saying, like, now with AI. It's a real thing. And I think that's the real kind of selling moment for us right now.
It's like the technology in the demo actually matter because it doesn't become a bunch of buzzwords. It's like, that totally makes sense. For example, Udi, in Gong, you guys just released this, I don't know what you call it, but I call it like AI Summarize. And
Call Spotlight, yeah.
It's Spotlight. It's like this magical thing that as soon as people see it, they're like, AI is not this nebulous, like, weird thing. It's like, it's very practical, and it actually helps me do my job. So what's your take?
When we do messaging, and that's always been the case, like any type of customer-facing content, we start with what the customer wants to hear, not with what product or the CEO want to say. And I think we see this all too often where we have product-led founders. They're like, oh, but tell them that we do this gizmo and that gadget and these nuts and bolts are so amazing and we've got more gigabytes than anyone else. But if your customer doesn't care about it, they're just going to gloss over it like next. So 2 things changed this year. One, I think recent surveys show that over 70% of sales leaders now are actively looking to experiment with AI for their sales team for a bunch of different use cases. And 2, we all know this last year has been focused on productivity gains and efficiency gains. So if you look at what's changed in Gong's messaging, if you went to Gong's website that you just quoted a year ago, you would be hard-pressed to find the word AI on it, because when we started, the product, we've been doing AI for 7 years. This is nothing new to us, but I never put it on the website because sales leaders couldn't care less. They cared about cloning their best performer and understanding how to close more deals, and you don't need to use AI to explain that benefit. In the last 6 months, we've been gradually introducing more AI as we've seen data suggesting that sales leaders are actively experimenting with AI. So now they are caring about this, and we've tweaked some of the old messaging. For example, for many years, we pitched that Gong can help you onboard new salespeople twice as fast as without Gong, which is true. And we have many, many testimonials to say that. But in this last year, that message would not have resonated because how many companies were doubling their sales teams? Very few. So we switched that to get more efficient and make your AEs more productive using AI from Gong, and that's how we're taking what customers care about, putting that in front of them, and now we're talking about how many billions of emails and calls we're analyzing because they care about it for the first time.
Yep.
People want to know, we're all on this learning journey together. AI is the topic du jour. Much of our messaging has converged. You guys have had the technology in your product lines for so long, and now you're kind of bringing it back to the forefront because that's what the customer wants to hear. I can't think of a better way to close this panel of Pipeline Summit than on that core message. I want to thank you both. Please, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Sara and Udi. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Kraig.
Kraig.
Thanks, Sara.
Sara.
Thanks, Udi.